Hey, what's up? Namaste, shalom. We got the first official day of the book club. Got myself and Big Nana here in the house. What y'all call her? Yah to the Yah. She's gonna facilitate the reading aspect along with myself. Um, One thing, me, I'm a very punctual person. It's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock, so we respect each other's time. So we gonna go ahead and get this thing started here. So we live. Okay, here we go. We live streaming. Okay, we up. We'll make it nice and so in the comments, please leave them on the side right here. So today we speak about power versus force for many reasons because it has the hidden determinants of human behavior. We haven't gotten your book yet. And it's so amazing because it gives us a way to look at our emotions from 20 to 1,000 on a frequency level. And I was just understanding the power of grief that that we feel. Like if someone dies, that's a natural cause. But if someone decides to leave us, and we take that totally different, that we feel like that's a hit against ourselves. What do we do for someone to leave us? It's so minuscule that you can have your mom drop you up to daycare when you was a child, and you felt like she wasn't coming back. You would feel abandoned because you want to be close to the person who provides that feeling for you. And also, too, when you're feeling angry, that's root chakra action. That deals with anger and excessive sexual activity. You overly having sex, you overly cleaning, or you always doing something, or OCD. So we deal with that root chakra, and hopefully gonna give y'all an example of what emotional level are you on. Are you on 20, which is shame? Are you on 100, which is fear? Or are you keeping 1,000? So without further ado, we gonna start on page 97. It speaks about the level of human consciousness. If you could do me honor, please, Yaya, could you begin that reading, please?
Chapter 4, Levels of Human Consciousness. Millions of collaborations over the years of this study have defined a range of values accurately corresponding to well recognized sets of attitudes and emotions, localized by specific attractor energy fields, much as electromagnetic fields gather iron filings. We have adopted the following classifications of these energy fields so as to be easily comprehensible, as well as clinically and subjectively accurate. It is very important to remember that the calibration figures do not represent an arithmetic, but a logic arithmetic
Mhm.
progression. Thus, the level 300 is not twice the amplitude of 150. It is 300 to the 10th power, 10 by 300. Therefore, an increase of even a few points represents a major advance in power. The rate of increase in power as we move up the scale is therefore enormous.
Can you pause for a second?
Yes.
Thank you. So let me elaborate on that. What they're saying. A lot of times we think about 150 plus 150 equals 300, but this is not arithmetic, it's logimatic, meaning it's logical because when we look at this situation, it gives us 20 to 1,000. Most time we say keep it 100. 100 vibration on the numeric number of 100. We want to keep ourselves 250 and above. So we got to take out the arithmetic thing about it. It's called logimatic. I know it seems a little different, but we're going to use the logic behind actually what's going on. That makes sense to you? No.
So, what are we basing the scale off of again?
Okay. The scale is based off emotions,
Okay.
right?
And there's oh, cause of the chart.
The chart. So okay. So if we go to page, I thought I had that thing marked out. It's a chart in here that I thought I had marked out, but I guess the Google moved my page. But on page, oh, if you flip over, if you go to page, when soon you flip over, the first level is 20, which is shame. Page 98,
Oh,
98,
no.
98. So I go from 20 is shame.
Oh, okay,
So
then
each
30.
so
Oh, okay, I
so
see.
each emotion will have a
A
vibration number.
level.
So like, oh, I'm on 20. That's shame.
Oh,
I didn't want to kind of let you pause there and see if I had any questions about
okay.
that. Make sense so far now?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's not amplitude of 150. It's 300 to the 10th power. Make sense now? A little more sense now? Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can continue, please.
Okay. The ways of various levels of human consciousness express themselves are profound and far reaching. Their effects are both gross and subtle. All levels below 200 are destructive of life in both the individual and society at large. In contrast, all levels above 200 are constructive expressions of power. The decisive level of 200 is the fulcrum that divides the general areas of force or falsehood from power or truth.
Can you pause there for a 2nd?
Hmm.
So once again, let's kind of elaborate on that. It speaks about 200 are destructive of all levels below 200 are destructive. Destructive means not good for you or anybody else if you're below 200. So that's why I say want to keep it 250 or better. That old saying, keep it 100. 100 is based on fear. So we have to unlearn the numeric value for actually increasing and inviting fear within our body.
And this is frequencies.
This is yes, because
Mm-hmm.
each emotion has a frequency that deals with the emotion that we're actually going to tune ourselves into by giving emotion to it. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then a general areas of falsehood from power or truth. So a lot of times we give stuff power by putting our energy on it because now I'm shame. Now I'm walking in the energy of shame. Now I'm giving over my power to shame, knowing it's just a disposition. It's not who I am. So if I
Mm-hmm.
know shame is 200, like, oh, loud 20. If I know shame is 20, I'm not going to be down there because I'm way below 200. So now I can
Mm-hmm.
keep my emotion on a numeric number and see for myself separately about what's going on. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you continue, please?
In describing the emotional correlates of the energy fields of consciousness, it is well to remember that they are rarely manifested as pure states in an individual. A person may operate on a one level in a given area of life and on quite a different level in another area of life.
Mm.
An individual's overall level of consciousness is the sum total effect of all these various levels.
That makes sense to you?
Yes, so basically, you could in work life you can operate maybe on a higher level than, is that what we're saying?
So what it's saying is you can be on various levels. Like
Mm-hmm.
1 minute you can be in grief, 1 minute you can be in joy.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically what they
Okay.
call bipolar. You feel what I'm
Oh,
saying?
got
So now what it's saying is the level of consciousness is the sum total effect of all these sorts of sum total. So the sum total all day long, what energy are you investing your thoughts and focus
you.
into your witnessing? That's the sum total. You follow me? You might have things that happened 10 years ago and now you feel grief or upset or abandonment because now this person or thing chose to leave out of your life. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's not a natural cause. It's like, oh, they motherfucker chose to leave me. Now they happy and moved on, and now I'm feeling some type of way about myself. But let's go back to a kid. When I got kidnapped, my mom never came and got me. I thought she abandoned me. You gave me an example of your mom that come get you from school like 6 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
So in our mind, that's like, oh shit, like what my caregiver like? Ain't nobody here. So now in our mind, we have the tools to decipher what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So in our mind, we almost abandoned because the person who take care of us isn't here.
Right.
So now that and what that does with grief, it turns anger and aggression on within ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're walking around with grief from a small wound, feeling abandoned because we think our source who keeps us here has left us. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's a fear, it's an anger, and an aggression.
So you have to recognize first that you have the abandonment,
Yes, you have to be aware of it.
and then um, recognize that grief comes from abandonment.
Recognize that you are grieving from
From
the abandonment. Like
abandonment.
a lot of times, I'm good, I'm fine. We don't know the resolve that's behind it. Because why are we so aggressive? Why are we
Because I
so
didn't
upset?
know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I realized the other day I'm reading something else that speaks about
Mm-hmm.
abandonment survivors, how you are abandoned from several different reasons, but
Mm-hmm.
you continue to push forward. I thought that was very intriguing and
Mm-hmm.
insightful about where we should start at. So we don't have to read all of them, but here's the chart I was telling you about. So let's see. So right here is 20, right? So just read the for what we're gonna do. Just read the first sentence of each one. Makes sense. So the engine. So it starts from 20 to 1,000. The lowest is 20, which is shame. The highest is enlightenment, which is 1,000. So energy level 20 is shame. Can you read that first sentence, please?
The level of shame is perilously proximate to death. Oh God.
Deep.
Which may be chosen out of shame as conscious suicide, or more subtly elected by failure to take steps to prolong life as in passive suicide. I want to read the whole thing. Okay, let me go to guilt.
So okay, gotcha. So you can't just skim over that.
Okay.
That thing said passive suicide when you're ashamed. So you're passively, slowly committing suicide level 20 because you're ashamed.
That is
right. So think about how many kids in school going to school shame because this, you're going to work shame or shame. That's 20. You see that? Passive suicide. Whoa. So I'm on 20 because I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. Wow. So this is why it's so important, man. So if you're on level 20, it's not to judge yourself in a bad way, but to recognize I need to get myself off that 20. I'm on shame. All right. Wow. Remember, it's 20 to 1,000. So
can I read the other sentence to show how
yes,
how it looks?
Yes.
We all have some awareness of the pain of losing faith, becoming discredited, or feeling like a non-person. And shame people hang their heads and slink away, wishing they were invisible. Yeah.
So when we wish we were invisible, we go into that a so-called shell, and now we sitting in the house. Now we feeling that shame, and now those voices start talking to us, and now we're almost becoming possessed by a lower vibration, which is shame, which is 20. And you isolate yourself, and you hang your head low. So now I'm a magnet for that lower vibration of shame.
One more sentence.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
The next paragraph. Early life experiences such as sexual abuse, which lead to shame, warp the personality. Often
Rewind. Can you start over, please? Thank you.
Early life experiences such as sexual abuse, which lead to shame, warp the personality often for a lifetime unless these issues are resolved by therapy.
So when they say unless they're resolved by therapy, it doesn't mean that you go see a so-called psychologist or therapist that's licensed. You can be your own self therapy, and first you have to become before you can change your perception. You gotta do what, yeah.
Acknowledge, yes, become aware.
You gotta become aware of what's going on. You could be conscious but not aware. That 20 says, wow, never knew that, huh? All right. So now once we put a numeric value to it, a logic value to it, now it puts us kind of distance from actually what's going on. We're not actually that. I'm just visiting number 20. I can always move.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So this is the sum total. I can bounce it for a second. Oh, let me get out of that shame. That's too low.
Right.
Okay, let's go next. Level 30.
Energy level 30, guilt. Guilt, so commonly used in our society to manipulate and punish, manifests itself into a variety of expressions such as remorse, self recrimination, masochism,
wow,
and the whole gamut of symptoms of victimhood. Unconscious guilt results in psychosomatic disease, accident proneness, and suicidal behaviors. Whoa. I know somebody that.
Okay.
Many people struggle with guilt their entire lives, while others desperately attempt escape by immorally denying guilt altogether. Desperately attempt escape.
Wow. Read that second paragraph. Guilt.
Guilt denomination results in a preoccupation with sin. An unforgiving emotional attitude frequently exploited by religious demagogues, demagogues, who use it for coercion and control. Such sin and salvation merchants obsessed with punishment are likely either acting out of their own guilt or projecting it on others.
Wow. So we only on level 30 with
And
guilt.
that's religion.
And what did they say mostly use that? Religion.
The
And
synagogues, oh, the demagogues, that's how we pronounce it.
so you see how low vibration vibrates on guilt. They want to guilt you into doing something. Well, God isn't, the devil is, and that's on 30. How you feeling right now? I see you grabbing yourself, and you okay? You're like, oh my, now you see why I love this book. You on 30, cuz like, wow, that's not even an F yet. Like that's like a 30.
The one in 20 was deaf. So
Passive suicide, it said. Mm. Somatic disease. Wow. Symptoms of
accident prone.
right.
I know some accident prone.
And that comes from guilt, because you're like, wow. So you see what it's called, the hidden determinant of human behaviors. Wow. So now remember, we going to 1,000. We only on 30. And then 20 was passive suicide. 30 is psychosomatic disease, accidental suicidal behaviors, and accident prone. Like, wow. Okay. Now I go from 30 to 50.
Energy level apathy. This level is characterized by poverty,
Mm.
despair, and hopelessness. The world and the future look bleak. Pathos is the theme of life. Apathy is a state of helplessness. Its victims, needy in every way, lack not only resources, but also the energy to avail themselves of what resources may be available. Unless external energy is supplied by caregivers, death through passive suicide can result. Without the will to live, the hopeless stare blankly, unresponsive to stimuli. Damn. Until their eyes stop tracking and there is not even enough energy left to swallow proffered food. Proffered food. This is the level of the homeless and the derelict, the derelicts of society. It is also the fate of many of the aged and others who become isolated by chronic or progressive diseases. The apathetic are dependent. People in apathy are heavy and are felt to be a burden by those around them. Too often, society lacks sufficient motivation to be of any real help to cultures as well as individuals at this level, who are seen as drains of resources. This is the level of the streets of Calcutta, where only the saintly, such as Mother Teresa and her followers, dare to tread. Apathy is the level of abandonment of hope, and few have the courage to really look it in the face.
Wow. I heard you with sound effects over there. What did you read that made you say, dang? What hit you? The poverty?
Because it says, where it says, apathy is a state of helplessness. Its victims, needy in every way, lack not only resources, but also the energy to avail themselves of what resources may be available. So they have resources around them, but they don't even have the energy to utilize those resources.
And it says, unless external energy is supplied by caregivers, death through passive suicide can
Can
result.
result.
So here we're going again with passive suicide. We need energy from outside yourself to help you with that when you're in apathy.
Because
That's 50.
inside,
Right, right. You need some outside you that's going to give you energy. So now you're codependent now. This is almost like an energy vampire almost at 50.
Yeah, and it says that It says that also that is their burden
Mm-hmm.
to people around them in society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dun, 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 dun. And this is what we're getting to.
grief.
Level 75. Grief that is accumulated through the assumption of you have been abandoned. It can come from when you was an infant or a toddler, and it ruminates right down to adulthood. So let's read the whole thing. Energy level 75. Grief.
This is the level of sadness, loss, and despondency. Most humans have experienced it for periods of time, but those who remain at this level live a life of constant regret and depression. This is the level of chronic mourning, bereavement, and remorse about the past. It is also the level of habitual losers and those chronic gamblers who accept failure as part of their lifestyle, often resulting in loss of jobs, friends, family, and opportunity, and well as money and health.
Mm.
Major losses.
You got to pause and breathe. Breathe, I say.
Major losses in early life make one later vulnerable to passive acceptance of grief.
Mm.
Grief. So you're basically just
You
accepting.
set up for it, right?
Yeah,
I'm used
like
to it. I'm
yeah.
hypersensitive to it.
As though sorrow were the price of life. In grief, one sees sadness everywhere. The sadness of little children, the sadness of world condition, the sadness of life itself. This level colors one entire vision of existence. Part of the syndrome of loss is the notion of the irreplaceability of what has been lost or that which is symbolized. There is a generalization from the particular so that the loss of a loved one is equated with the loss of love itself.
Mm.
At this level, such emotional losses may trigger a serious depression or death. Although grief is the symmetry of life, it still has more energy to it than apathy does. Thus, when a traumatized, apathetic patient begins to cry, we know they are getting better. Once they start to cry, they will begin to eat again.
Mm. So you see, it's different levels, it's different phases. So now you crying, and now you upset. You're actually remember it's not a numeric value. So when I add logimatic to it, if I add one more point to it, I'm at 76. I'm growing. I'm getting better.
So I see like within the different stages, it's like there's certain things that you can do to get out of it.
Yes, 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 yes. Like a truck stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need somebody to throw you a rope to help you. This was very enlightening to me. I'm gonna read to you what is abandonment. A feeling, a feeling of isolation within a relationship, an intense feeling of devastation when a relationship ends, an aloneness not by choice, an experience from childhood, a baby left on the doorstep, a divorce, a woman loved by a husband of 20 years for another woman, a man being left by his fiancee for someone else more successful, a mother leaving her children, a father leaving his children, a friend feeling deserted by a friend, a child who pets dies. Wow. A little girl grieving on the death of her mother. A little boy wanting his mommy to come pick him up from nursery school. A child who feels replaced by birth by another sibling. A child feeling restless due to his parents' emotional unavailability. A boy realizing that he is gay and anticipating the reaction of his parents and friends. A teenager feeling her heart is actually broken. A teenage boy afraid to approach the girl he loves. A woman who has raised now grown children feeling empty as if she has been deserted. A children striking a child striking with a serious illness, watching his friends play while he is confined to a wheelchair or bed. A woman who has lost her job and with her professional identity, financial security, and status. A man who's been put out of a man who has been put out of a man who has been put out to pasture by his company, and he as if he is obsolete. A dying mom who feels fear being abandoned by loved ones as much or more than she fears pain and death. So he said either we can feel like abandoned, like
Yeah.
that got you just shaking your head, like
Let me take a picture of that.
how often do we speak about that?
We don't, because we don't think of it as, oh, well, that was just a little situation that happened.
And then the situation where, like, if somebody dies, it's a natural cause, right? Okay, they died. I can't see them no more. They gone, but I wish I could see them again. So we see medium. But when somebody decides to leave you that you love, and they're still living, they made a conscious decision to not be with you no more. So now you checking yourself, like, what did I do wrong? And what's going to be? And why they love this person? So now I don't know it, but now this abandonment, this shock had me feeling angry and aggressive, but I'm turning in within myself because now I'm checking me because you chose somebody over me. So now I'm checking myself. So now we're grieving the same way like bereavement is, but nobody never gives us pull to the side with grieving because somebody left us and talk about what's going on and how you feeling emotional wise.
Even if you live someone, you can grieve.
Of course, of
Yeah,
course.
because if you feel like you had no choice but to do it, yeah,
But that's true too. But you won't grieve as bad because you decide to leave.
do it, yeah.
So if somebody's like you taking the power, so now somebody decide to leave you, it's like they got the power. You feeling bad. They can move on a relationship or whatever it may be, but you're feeling that pain. It made me think about all the women that I hurt when I was emotionally unavailable. Whenever they required more from me than physical activities, I left.
Mm.
I ran because I didn't understand how to deal with that emotional aspect of it and to how to maintain a healthy relationship when somebody's pointing the finger at me about what I'm doing wrong, incorrect. So you know what? Fuck it. Who you think you is? I just leave. Oh, that's my mama ride past y'all. My grandma said right around the corner. It's a blessing. So yeah, man, like this stuff is showing you the numbers of what's going on, right? So we got through with grief, which is 75 in so many different ways that we can have grief. And we gotta make it okay. Now when somebody passes, we make it okay for them to grieve, right? We come sit with them, we come bring food with them, we have a little get together after. But what when somebody leaves you? There's no process for that.
They're like, girl, fuck that
Yeah,
nigga.
you'll be all right. Let's go drink. Let's go hang out. What inside we feel desolated because something's been taken from me and it chose to leave. And so now most times we're so committed to that situation now I can't live without that person. I can't breathe without that person. That's how I'm truly feeling. So from there it comes fear. So we jump from 75 to what's next? 100.
100.
Okay.
Energy level 100, fear. At the level of 100, there is a lot more life energy available. Fear of danger is actually healthy. Wait, hold on. At the level of 100, there is a lot more life energy available.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of danger is actually healthy. Fear runs much of the world, spurring on endless activity. Fear of enemies, of old age or death, of rejection, and a multitude of social fears are basic motivators in most people's lives. From the viewpoint of this level, the world looks hazardous, full of traps and threats. Fear is the favored official tool for control by oppressive, total, total, totalitarian agencies and regiments. And insecurity is the stock and trade of major manipulators of the marketplace. The media and advertising play to fear to increase market share.
Mm.
The proliferation of fears is as limitless as the human imagination. Once fear becomes one's focus, and endless fearful events of the world feed it.
Mm.
Fear becomes obsessive and may take any form.
Pause right there for a second.
Wow.
Read them two sentences again, please. As you underline.
Once fear from there,
Fear becomes more focused. Come on.
fear becomes one's focus. Fear fear becomes once fear becomes one's focus, the endless fearful events of the world feed it. Fear becomes obsessive and may take any form.
Mm. Wow. Fear may take any form. So what is that? What is that? What is that? What's up, Les? I'm
How
doing
you
wonderful, man.
doing?
So what is that? What does that sound like to you? We got somebody came when we got my brother Les coming in. Give him some love on the camera, y'all. Where he at? Here he coming now. Here he coming now. Oh. Yeah, man. My brother, my brother. How's everyone doing? You can bring each other right there, brother. Yeah, feel free. It's official when two or more gather. We got two or more. So, Judge, what kind of insight is this giving you?
About fear?
Yes, and it can take different forms.
I mean, that's what I'm waiting to see. I mean, I know that fear can take any form, but I'm waiting to see specifically.
It can take any form. But you're waiting for one specific form?
No, I'm waiting to see different. Specifically, what's it gonna say?
But it
The
said it.
different forms.
So it meant this is the part you missing.
Oh, any.
Yeah, we don't pay one or two list up on the field, right? So you're trying to say which one can take any form. That's why it's so slippery. You're trying to wait for it to take one particular form. It take any form, any fashion. You're not paying attention.
Okay, so give me an example.
What you mean? Give you an example. Any it can take any form. So right, if I want you to feel fear, it can take form of your kids calling you. It can take form of your mom calling you.
I see.
It can take any form to get you to invest in fear.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Now it makes sense now. Any form, it's not limited. Especially the more we care about somebody, the more they can pull on our heartstrings. So I realized at my son was 3 years old, he was using me. I had no idea. When he'll with me, he'll suck his pacifier. He go to the babysitter, he'll spit it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, whoa.
That's a day.
So for that day for it, look at little homie. I know you understand me, I know you get it. So I'm gonna have an adult conversation, look at this pacifier. Throw this out the window and this is how it's gonna vibrate now. So understand how kids can use you if you're not mindful about it.
Mm-hmm.
We on 125 desire. You flight reading list?
Yeah.
102.
All right. Go ahead, start off?
Yes.
Okay. Energy levels 125 desire. There is yet more energy available at this level. Desire motivates vast areas of human activity, including the economy. Advertisers play on our desire to program us with the needs linked to instinctual drives. Desire moves us to expend great effort to achieve goals or obtain rewards.
Pause right there for a second. You heard what I just said? It desires us to program the lead to it's a drive. So when we say 125 desire, that can go back to dopamine here. Like somebody off you saw him chilling, somebody give some sex. Now that desire been quenched, now you gotta try to get up and move. That makes sense to you?
Yeah.
So now, like I'm chilling, I don't feel like somebody give you something that makes sense. Like, oh, I'm motivated. That same thing dopamine does. It's the chemical that motivates you to move. So desire and dopamine are both like 125. So we trying to stay 200 or higher. You feel what I'm saying? Or you can finish reading this.
The desire for money, prestige, or power runs the lives of many of those who have risen above fear as their limiting, predominant life motive. Desire is also the level of addiction, wherein desire becomes a craving more important than life itself.
Read that again, please.
Desire is also the level of addiction, wherein desire becomes a craving more important than life itself.
Let's pause for a second. You hanging out, you drinking, you vibing. What your body start desiring for? I want some type of pleasure. So now what your pleasure might be, now I'm caught in the energy of desire. Now I'm walking around this great desire. I don't have control no more. Desire has taken control of my body. That's my motivation. So now I'm doing whatever I need to quench that desire. And once I quench that desire, now how I'm gonna feel? I might fall right back into guilt or grief again. Just that simple, but we perpetuate from each level.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to say about that, Les?
Yeah, I was gonna say was I started reading a book again, like one I gave you,
Mm-hmm.
The Sex Imperative,
Mm-hmm.
and at one point he says, many of us, particularly Europeans, are their obsession with sex is so deep that that's the epitome of them being alive being is to experience that to the point where they always in that state of or how you say the word orgasm pleasure was always a state of pleasure non-stop. That's what they think about. They breathe it, they eat it, every hour, every second.
Right.
Go ahead and continue.
Yeah. No, actually, what we only doing is they go to 1,000, right? So we're just reading each energy level, like the first one or two paragraphs, just to get an understanding of what's going on. So, anything you want to say about that, y'all, about desire?
Well, I was just reading the next sentence.
What is that?
I was saying some people become addicted to the desire for attention and drive others away by their constant demands.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, since that case, read the next line after that too. Then.
The desire for sexual approval
Mm.
has produced entire cosmetic, fashion, and movie industries.
Read that one more time, please.
The desire for sexual approval has produced entire cosmetic, fashion, and movie industries.
So you see what that is it's an industry that thrives on that. This is what they do, and it's in all human nature. But when we succumb to the Eastern philosophy way of thinking, we become more pleasure seeking too because social media, the news, whatever we got going on. So it's this is to help us actually get our power back and put our mind back in the right sequential order where it need to be at. What's next? Anger. Y'all can you read that please?
Mhm. Energy level 150 anger. Although anger may lead to homicide and war, as an energy level within itself, it is much further removed from death than those below it. Anger can lead to either constructive or destructive action. As people move out of apathy and grief to overcome fear as a way of life, they begin to want. Desire leads to frustration, which in turns lead to anger. Thus, anger can be a fulcrum by which the oppressed are eventually catapulted to freedom. Anger over social justice, victimization, and inequality has created great movements that led to major changes in the structure of society. But anger expresses itself most often as resentment and revenge, and is therefore volatile and dangerous. Anger as a lifestyle is exemplified by irritable, explosive people
Mm.
who are oversensitive to slights and become injustice collectors, quarrelsome, belligerent, or what is it? Litigious? Litigious. Litigious. Litigious.
Read that again, please. That was so dope. That whole paragraph, please.
But anger expresses itself most often as resentment and revenge, and is therefore volatile and dangerous. Anger as a lifestyle is exemplified by irritable, explosive people who are oversensitive to slights and become injustice collectors, quarrelsome, belligerent, or litigious. Litigious.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So how many people did that just describe? Of course, some
A lot.
belligerent.
A
That's a
lot.
high percentage, right?
Yeah.
How many people you think know about this particular level what we talking about right
Not as deep as this, maybe just surface level. But they should also have an extra word in here. But a person's name, Karen. You ever seen or heard of a Karen? Oh, that's a Karen. Somebody who just goes around. If you have something like this going on, they want to come over and say, "What you guys doing? You guys should be doing this."
Do you
Come on,
live here?
please. Yeah, do you live
Oh,
here? Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. Um. Hmm.
Well, yeah, it definitely is. Can be used to make change. Once a community of people are more upset, like you see it all the time, where uprising goes against the current government in the state,
Mm-hmm.
and then enough happens where they see protests, they don't want that to happen and occur. But then if it's not controlling, you can't control it. There's no actual outcome or goal expresses in your way that's positive
Right.
by any means, then it's just aimlessly just ravishing and being upset.
Mm-hmm. Facts. Um. So you know what's sense by you saying that? Let's read that last paragraph for that anger. 'Cause I think that's very fitting for what's going on right now.
Since anger stems from frustrated want, it is based on the energy field below it. Frustration results from exaggerating the importance of desires. The angry person may, like a frustrated infant, go into rage. Anger leads easily to hatred, which has an erosive effect on all areas of a person's life.
How many people walk around angry for whatever particular reason? So this is compounded from the grief, and now I don't understand what the grief is. I hold in myself. Whatever I'm doing outside, me not working, so I'm just walking around anger and rage for whatever particular reason. So anytime you happen, I'm ready to jump on that and give me a reason to express why I'm angry, what my anger got going on. I got to be comfortable within yourself. Walk around at level 150, which is anger. Now it's good because you're coming up out of grief, but you still below that 200 level. And what's next is 175, what we call what? That foolish pride. Now, can you read that for me, please?
Yeah, energy level 175, pride. Pride, which calibrates at 175, has enough energy to run the United States Marine Corps. It is the level to by the aspired by the majority of our kind today. People feel positive as they reach this level. In contrast to the lower energy fields, this rise in self-esteem is a balm to all the pain experienced at lower levels of consciousness. Pride looks good and it knows it. It struts itself in the parade of life. Pride pride is at a far enough removal from shame, guilt, or fear that to rise, for instance, out of the despair of the ghetto to the pride of being a Marine in an enormous jump.
All right, pause there for a second. You see, let's say pride looks good and knows it and expresses stuff in the parade of life. How many people walk around smiling like everything cool and it's not? Full of that what they call, oh y'all got a hand raised, y'all. Full of self of what we call foolish pride. So I'm pretending like I'm good, but my pride has got me not accepting help, not acknowledging what I got going on within myself. Because especially as a man, we can't talk about emotion. I can't talk about a woman dumped me. How could I talk about that? Now I'm in suffering silence. I'm walking around in grief and upset. It's like somebody abandoned, like, oh my God, woe is me, you did me so wrong. But yet I can leave you, it's cool, but you leave me. It's the worst crime since somebody done slapped a white person and we slaves. So it's totally different. But moving up through foolish pride, we above grief, we're above shame, we're above guilt. Do you how many paragraphs you read, yo?
I'm not
Oh no, he just was reading. I apologize.
sure.
Read the next one, please, Les.
We got a jump. Pride, as such, generally has a good reputation and is socially encouraged. Yet, as we see from the chart of the levels of consciousness, it is sufficiently negative to remain below the critical level of 200. Thus, this is why pride feels good only in contrast to the lower level.
Read that again, please.
Pride, as such, general has a good reputation and is socially encouraged. Yet, as we see from the chart of the levels of consciousness, it is sufficiently negative to remain below the critical level of 200. This is why pride feels feels good only in contrast to the lower levels.
Okay, they mentioned the map of conscience. Can you turn to page 319, please? 319. 319. Never know you feel like I'm in a Bible study with Jehovah's Witnesses here right now.
I know that's how I feel about it with the
Well, one thing
Israelites.
about it, thinking about it, I always wanted to be an elder who conducted the Bible study, though. So doing this right here is pretty cool, man. Thank you, Les, for joining me, brother, on the short notice. And yeah, I appreciate you as well. So everybody got the chart on page 319?
Yes.
Okay. So we look at the chart. The arrow is pointing down at 20, which is shame. Then 30 is guilt. Apathy is 50. Grief 75. Fear is 100. Desire is 125. But if you notice, the arrow is still pointing down to lower vibration. Anger is 150. With pride is 175. And at 200, the arrow points up and down at the same time. Because now I'm encouraged, which is affirmation and empowerment. As I move up higher, I'm in neutrality. I'm in trust. I'm releasing. This is at 250. At 310, willingness, optimism, and intention. At 350, acceptance, forgiveness, and transcendence of what I was feeling earlier. Reason, the arrow pointing up, is 400. Reason, understanding, and abstraction. Love, 500. Reverence, revelation. Joy is above love. Joy is 540. Serenity and transfiguration. 600 is peace, bliss, illumination. And 700 to 1,000 is inevitable, pure consciousness.
Like,
What I said, enlightenment? Oh, what I said? I ain't say enlightenment. Oh, my mind was somewhere else. Enlightenment, inevitable, and pure consciousness. So the map of consciousness is what we want to become aware of. And then each one has a God view, a life view, a level, an emotion, and a process. So this is almost giving you a blueprint. You got a question, Les?
No, go ahead.
Oh, it has the blueprint to actually show you that you can self check in and where you at yourself. Like, what am I feeling? Okay, what's going on with here? So now you got one, two, three, four, five, six different categories to gauge yourself from. What you gonna say, Les?
No, I was gonna say, going back to the pride,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's smart how the author puts it above anger because like you said, especially with men, sometimes if we have a breakup or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
we're just roll off our shoulder. I'm good,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not affected by that. On to the next one type
Mm-hmm.
of thing. Um, but pride is you see it everywhere within families,
Mm-hmm.
brothers and sisters, parent and child, even at the workplace or like a good friend that you've known for so long. It's even so many people say it's that pride in you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will die,
Mm-hmm.
with that pride
Mm-hmm.
to do something.
Facts.
So yeah.
Mm. And one of my dudes told me that Nipsey Hussle used to speak about this right here. Keep yourself above 250. So having something that you can gauge yourself based on a numeric system is pretty cool. And also mathematics is the language of God. Like numbers can't lie. So you see yourself like, oh, I'm feeling like 50 right now. Like, whoa, like let me do something to change it. Let me have somebody call the contact. I can kind of vibrate with it, kind of help me out this funk right here. So next is whoa, 200 courage. Yeah, can you read that please?
hmm Energy level 200 courage. At the 200 level, power really first appears. When we test subjects at all the energy levels below 200, we find, as can be readily verified, that they all go weak. Everyone goes strong in response to the life supportive fields above 200. This is critical level that distinguishes the positive and negative influences of life. At the level of courage and attainment of true power occurs.
Let's pause for a second. You said kinesiology earlier. The power of kinesiology can be tested and it go weak.
Mm-mm.
You sure?
Did I?
Yeah, I thought I heard you something about kinesiology and going weak. It can be tested. I'm,
But
I'm,
what about it?
so kinesiology is a way of, if I ask you your name and it's true, your body stays strong. If you don't say something true, your body is weak. Kinesiology. That's how they test certain things. So there's somebody actually hold your arm up and ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not true, your body goes weak.
Mm-hmm.
If it's true, your body stays strong. By meaning, if I think positive, my body's strong. If I think weak, my body weakens. That's what kinesiology is. So if you're doing something and you ask a question and you test it by strength is not the truth, you get weak. That's the international kinesiology. I didn't want you to say that real by slide past. You can truly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a spiritual retreat. Was somebody brought me on stage and did that with me and took all my power from me and it freaked me out. It showed me how powerful it was. So it's not just hoodoo. It's so true because we're vibrational frequency. So depending on what we resonate, we can be strong or we can be weak.
I guess that's how a lie detector works.
Oh, right, but understanding the specific word to
Reason,
describe what technique and tools you're using,
mm-hmm.
so not so hoodoo. So you understand actually what's going on. You can continue, please.
Therefore, it is also the level of empowerment. This is the zone of exploration, accomplishment, fortitude, and determination. At the lower levels, the world is seen as hopeless, sad, frightening, or frustrating. But at the level of courage, life is seen to be exciting, challenging, and stimulating. Courage implies the willingness to try new things and deal with the vicissitudes of life. At this level of empowerment, one is able to cope with and effectively handle the opportunities of life. At 200, for instance, there is the energy to learn new job skills, growth and education become attainable goals. There's the capacity to face fears or character defects and to grow despite them. Anxiety also does not cripple endeavor as it would at the lower levels of evolution. Obstacles that defeat people whose consciousness is below 200 act as a stimulant to those who have evolved into the first level of true power. Oh, wow.
Mm.
So it's used differently. People at this level put back into the world as much energy as they take. At lower levels, populations as well as individuals drain energy from society without reciprocating because accomplishments result in positive feedback. Self reward and esteem become progressively self reinforcing. This is where productivity begins. The collective level of consciousness of mankind remained at 190 for many centuries and curiously only jumped to its current level of 204 within the last decade.
Mm.
Damn.
That's saying a whole lot, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That what just came in the Dark Ages, the
Mm-hmm.
1500s.
Yeah, I see.
Right. Hmm. So with that being said, a lot of people that spearheaded religion came out of the Dark Ages. And the reason why they was in the Dark Ages because they was lacking God at the time. That's when they came in and said they got rid of the God Gnostic Christians and was saying that the way they was doing that God within was wrong. So they went from not having God, so they went in dark age because they was lacking God, so they had no type of cleansing, no type of way. Then from out that dark ages, they came up with religion. So how could you come from a religion from a dark age and now you have something that's not actually maintaining you? So they came back to the God Gnostic Christians and kind of learned actually what was going on to get them out of that dark age. So when you say I don't need God, like that basically you've been an atheist. Like I don't need you, I can handle it myself. So now I was an atheist and I didn't realize it when my mom was being beat on. I feel like God wants shit. Like, why let my mom be beat on like that? Like, that don't make sense to me. So, why do I trust in something that's not gonna be able to protect me? So, as a kid, having a type of mentality, who do we talk to about this right here? So now within myself, I'm full of that foolish pride. I'm not angry, but I'm prideful now. So now I'm not walking around with a grin on my. I'm not walking around with my face balled up. I'm walking around with a smile on my face, thinking you can't tell me shit. So that's versus being angry. I'm smiling, thinking you can't tell me nothing. So it's not dangerous, like you said. That's dangerous because I'm not angry, so I'm not showing you my aggression, but I'm smiling on my face. And I'm still aggressive. And now I'm passively being aggressive. I'm not walking around angry aggressive. That's kind of scary. Like really, it is.
And so the last word you just said, passively aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's where a lot of workplaces are like. A lot of people, from the things that I've studied and watched,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I see a lot of us are going into. You know, what I mean by that is, there's certain stuff that you can say now that or certain stuff you can't say that you were able to say back then. Things are a little bit more softer. You have to be. You can't tell how it really is now, right? So everyone sort of holds this thing in them that needs to be said, that's important to be said, to show, hey, let's talk about this because it's important. You know, let us not make this taboo where it used to be, and just speak about it, have a conversation.
I kind of don't agree with that because now I think people have more courage to talk about what's going on and have uncomfortable conversation. Really. Um, if you work with kids,
No.
oh God, you work with kids, they got pretty courage. Like right now, kids have more freedom of speech than I had because I couldn't talk back. I get slapped in the mouth. So now kids are more being prompt to actually speak about and tell what's going on. You feel what I'm saying? So now the era we're moving in is coming out of holding your voice, and now they over speaking. They tell a kid to be quiet because at home they're not being taught to what go on here, stay here. They telling everybody business.
Oh yeah.
So right. It's a different energy in right now.
I see that a lot online.
So what's next? 250. Neutrality. Who was on you, Yaya? You would after you put one of them homemade cookies in your mouth, huh? So the level now we at right now, remember we want to stay above 200. 200 is courage. So now we're in neutrality. The neutrality of the situation. And we got people online saying lioness, Ashe love, saying love and light, God and goddesses. We got Miss Evans saying right on 100. They loving the energy and atmosphere. So light, let there be light. Okay. Neutrality, please. Big Nana, can you read that for us?
Energy level 250, neutrality. Energy becomes very positive as we get to the level that we have termed neutral, because it is epitomized by release from the positionality that typifies lower levels. Below 250, consciousness tends to see dichotomies.
Mean division into two, because I know that word neither. Divide into two.
Thank you. And to take on rigid positions and impediment in a world that is complex and multifactorial rather than black and white.
Then let's go over that again. Read that one more time.
Energy becomes very positive as we get to the level that we have termed neutral.
Pause for a second. Energy becomes very positive as we get to this level of 250. So now you see why you want to stay above 250? Because now neutral is very positive. So we want to move from a very positive energy and move forward. Continue, please.
Because it's epitomized by release from the positionality that typifies lower levels.
Read that one more time. Neutral because
it epitomized by release from the positionality that typifies lower levels.
So it releases us from lower levels. So now it becomes, so this is 250 is a release. Now we're neutral. So now as I'm neutral, I got a choice to go up or go down. Because the arrow go up or down. So this is where we have a choice in to take our power back or continue to give it away. That makes sense?
Yes.
So that's why I say it's a dichotomized division into two. So when we divide into two, now we got an option. We don't just have to be that. Okay, continue.
Below 250, consciousness tends to see dichotomies and to take on rigid positions and impediment in a world that is complex and multifactorial rather than black and white. Taking such positions creates polarization, and polarization in turns create opposition and division.
Pause right there for a second. So a lot of times you'll hear me saying non-linear. Non-linear means I'm not taking a position, right, wrong, left, right, up, or down. It just is. When I take a position, mean I'm right. That means you wrong. I know somebody have to win, somebody got to lose. That's causing polarity. We don't want to divide it into two. We want to come back whole and understand exactly what's going on. I'm not no better than you. I might have a different awareness, but I'm no better than you. So we don't want to have a duality. We want to have a neutrality and polarity that everybody comes from a oneness. That makes sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so neutralization causes a duality, or it makes sure that you don't have a duality?
It does duality. Remember the chart?
Yeah.
So every arrow under 250 was pointing down, right? Neutrality, it points
up
or
and
down. So that's the duality. So now I can choose.
So
I can go up.
Way.
Right.
Gotcha.
You want to say something, Les?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, when she was reading and just talking about neutrality, I took it, the meaning for me as once you're in a situation with someone, whether it be a relationship or someone that you live with, and you've gone through so much, with the person, back and forth, and it just comes to a place where they.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
It comes to a place where they where you're just tired of it, right? Too much energy being drained. So years pass, time pass, but you say, you know what, I'm not mad at this person, or I'm not happy. You know, not in terms of happy, you want something bad to happen, but you're just at peace with yourself about the situation. That's how I took the meaning of being neutral as she was reading through it.
So being neutral meaning that you can do what again now?
I mean, you're not upset with with the situation. You know, whatever happened. You're not mad about it. You're just calm and neutral about it.
Yeah, because you're releasing it, not anymore. But yes.
Exactly.
Because that's why I say the first paragraph helps you release it and move higher. That's why it's so cool because, like you said, I'm neutral now. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. It just is. Now from this is, can I move forward and go to the next level, or should I just stay here or move backwards? This is what the choice comes in at.
Yes.
Makes sense? So the next one is what? Oh, 310. Willingness. Can you read that for me, Les, please? 310.
Willingness. This is very positive level of energy. This very positive level of energy may be seen as the gateway to the higher levels, whereas, for instance, jobs are done adequately at the neutral level, at the level at the level of willingness. Work is done well, and success in all endeavors is common. Growth is rapid. These are people chosen for advancement. Willingness implies that one has overcome inner resistance to life and is committed to participation. Below the 200 calibration,
Can you read that over again, please? That last sentence.
willingness implies that one has overcome inner resistance to life and is committed to participation.
You heard that said? What did you overcome? An inner resistance
to life.
So when we have an inner resistance to life, we're not willing. But the way we get the light, we have to will the light. The Most High said, "Let there be light." So I mean, everything was dark before we got here. So His willpower gave us light. So we have to be willing to release the inner resistance so we can have light and kind of move forward in life. Okay, well, go ahead, Les.
Below the 200 calibration level, people tend to be closed minded. But by a level of 310, a great opening occurs. At this level, people become genuinely friendly, and social and economic success seem to follow automatically. The willing are not really troubled by unemployment, for they will take any job when they have to, or create a career or self-employment for themselves.
Can you read that again, please? That's so powerful, brother. Oh my goodness. That's what 10 more degrees you said? The 320? Go ahead, read it again, please.
Yeah, below the 200 calibration level, people tend to be closed-minded. But by level 310, a great opening occurs. At this level, people become generally friendly, and social and economic success seem to follow automatically. The willing are not really troubled by unemployment, for they will take any job when they have to, or create a career or self-employment for themselves.
Thank you. So this leaving right there. You see how important willingness is? You're able to create for yourself because now mentally willing, I'm letting go of the resistance in life. I might be fighting from a job, but now I'm willing within my mind. I can create my own empire now because now I'm willing to live that existence in life. That makes sense to you? So now the next one that we're going to is you want to say something, Yaya?
I just want to read this last one.
Okay, go ahead.
This last sentence. They are also willing to face inner issues and do not have major learning blocks. So that's important.
Why did that stick out to you?
Because if you're not willing, you're gonna stay in the same position that you're in the same mind frame. So at this level, that's where you grow, and it made me realize this is where you start creating the level for the frequency for currency.
That what he said. Money becomes to flow to you easily. Because now I'm a attractive factor. My main attractive factor is my currency and finance.
Because you're willing, you take the blockage off to receive,
which was inner resistance.
Right.
Just inner is so important. So next is 350 acceptance. Y'all, could you read that, please?
Energy level 350 acceptance. At this level of awareness, a major transformation takes place. With the understanding that one is oneself, the source and creator of the experience of one's life. Taking such responsibility is distinctive of this degree of evolution, characterized by the capacity to live harmoniously with the forces of life. All people at levels below 200 tend to be powerless and see themselves as victims at the mercy of life. This stems from a belief that the source of one's happiness or the cause of one's problems is out there. An enormous jump taking back one's own power is completed at this level with the realization that the source of happiness is within oneself.
Read that again, please. That almost snuck past. Wow.
An enormous jump taking back one's own power is completed at this level with the realization that the source of happiness is within oneself.
Mm, mm, mm. That's hard. Taking back your power and knowing it's within. Everything lately, just two one is going within. So everything within. Can you continue, please? You want to say something less?
No, but
Okay.
At this more evolved stage, nothing so called out there has the capacity to make one happy. And love is not something that is given or taken away by another, but is created from within. Acceptance is not to be confused with passivity, which is a symptom of apathy. This form of acceptance allows engagement in life on life's own terms without trying to make it conform to an agenda. With the acceptance, there is emotional calm and a perception is widened as denial is transcended.
Can you rewind that last sentence again? Because it had to be transcended. Oh my goodness.
With acceptance, there
Mm-hmm.
is emotional calm and perception is widened as denial is transcended. One now sees things without distortion or misinterpretation. Hmm. The context of experience is expanded so that one is capable of seeing the whole picture. Acceptance has to do essentially with balance, proportion, and appropriateness.
Pause right there for a second. You see the key components that we need when it comes to acceptance. You heard them keys you just read out just now.
Yes.
How often are we looking at ourselves from that perspective to gain that? So most time we don't know. And so now that we know and accept it, we are freeing ourselves from the inside to be available for other higher track energy fields.
Acceptance.
Accepting is so important. And we're not doing nothing but accepting that this is what happened. And from that accepting, we're able to release and grow. So that's how important acceptance. It's 350. So now we're doing less. And when we're angry with grief, that's taking so much energy. You can't sleep, you can't rest. You have no productive thoughts in your mind. Everything is despair, joylessness. I have no type of way of getting over. But right here, acceptance, life is totally different. I'm woosah, I'm vibing. So you think how you feel when you're on 350 less when you accepting life? How do you feel?
I feel less burden, heaviness in my conscience.
Mm-hmm.
Like even today when I went to the beach, I brought my to write some stuff down,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, y- your voice came in my head. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's just how things work out for some people.
Right.
Your voice came in my head because I was watching a video a while back, and the guy said, you didn't come here to save the world. You came here to heal yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And many times I would see society and like so many things going on wrong that
Mm-hmm.
I think that we should fix.
Mm-hmm.
But then when your voice came up, it was like, yo, you don't have to worry about that, man, because that's the natural order of things.
Mm-hmm.
Let that be. Just worry about yourself and what you can control,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then fusing those two, what you said, what I heard, what the guy said, it made me say, okay, here's something that lifted off the conscience of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Let me accept how things are. I can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna. I wrote it down. It's gonna be. It was here before me. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
probably gonna be here after I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just worry about myself. So that's like a form of acceptance. I gotta accept it for what it is.
Yes, man. And you know, I'm not a heavy religious person, but I like going in the Bible. But one thing that the Lord's Prayer said, accept the things I cannot change, courage to change things I can, and the wisdom know the difference. So right there it talks about how important acceptance is. At a 350, less. Can you read 400, please? Reason. Reason. Page 110. The reason that we here.
Reason, intelligence, and rationality rise to the forefront when the emotionalism of the lower levels is transcended. Reason is capable of handling large, complex amounts of data, making rapid, correct decisions, understanding the intricacies of relationships. Raj, how do you pronounce that word?
Radiation.
Gradations, and the fine distinctions and expert manipulation of symbols as abstract concepts, which becomes increasingly important.
Read that again, please. 'Cause that's so deep.
Start the whole thing top.
Yes.
Intelligence and rationality rise to the forefront when the emotionalism of lower levels is transcended.
Wow, I heard that. He made a word emotionalism of the lower level is transcended. Wow. Okay, brother, have to take a deep breath on that one. Go ahead, next.
Reason is capable of handling large, complex amounts of data, making rapid, correct decisions, understanding the intricacies of relationships, gradations, and fine distinctions, and expert manipulation of symbols as abstract concepts, which becomes increasingly important. This is the level of science, medicine, and generally increased capability for conceptualization and comprehension. Knowledge and education are sought as capital. Understanding and information are the main tools of accomplishment, which is the hallmark of level 400 of 400 level.
Mm-hmm.
This is the level of Nobel Prize winners, great statesmen, and Supreme Court justices.
Mm-hmm.
Einstein, Freud, and and many of the other great thinkers of history also calibrate here.
So you hear that? Reason is why all these high thinkers are think left for reading. Is why we on study level. The reasons that we're here. Now, let me tell you one thing about it. Reason. The next thing is love. Most people, I'm gonna skip right to the bottom. Right, it says, reason itself, paradoxically, is the major block to reaching higher levels of consciousness. Transcending this level is relatively uncommon by only 4% of the world population. Only 4% leave reasoning and go to love because we're so mathematical. I need a reason for what's going on. So my reasoning keeps me at a 400 vibration. My reasoning keeps me from leaving love because I need a reason to love. Make sense? Reason. That's why reason is 400. The next is find what you love. It's only 4% of people come out of reason. Let me see why. Okay, I'm reading. Reason does not of itself provide a guide to truth. It produces massive amounts of information and documentation, but lack the capacity to resolve discrimination in data and conclusions. All philosophical arguments should convince on their own, although reason is highly effective in technical world where the methodologies of logic dominate. Reason itself paradoxically is the major block to reaching higher levels of consciousness. Transcendent level is relatively uncommon by only 4% of the world's population. So we're stuck in reason.
Okay, so I see the advantage and disadvantage of reasoning because with reason you can understand that different aspects of relationships are different. It's not the same cookie cutter way that they teach us how we should be, right? But also, if you are stuck into reasoning, it separates love from logic.
So I want you to read the last paragraph right here, the shortcomings of this level. Who will read is not less?
Yeah.
Read the very, what you said is very close. Read the very last sentence, the shortcoming less, the shortcoming of the level are the failures.
Yeah, the shortcomings of this level are the failure to clearly distinguish the difference between symbols and what they represent, and confusion between the objective and subjective worlds that limits the understanding of casualty.
Keep going.
As this level, at this level, it is easy to lose sight of the forest for the trees, to become, how do you pronounce that word?
Infatuated.
Infatuated with concepts and theories, ending up in intellectualizing intellectualism and,
Mm-hmm.
and missing the essential point.
Oh, I've been there.
Pause for a second.
I've been there.
That's what reason stops us at. Make sense now?
Yeah.
That's what reason. That's the reason why reason stops us right there. That
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That can read again, please.
At this level, it is easy to lose sight of the forest for the trees, to become infatuated with concepts and theories,
Mm-hmm.
in text, ending up in
Intellectual.
intellectualism and missing the essential point. Inter, intellectualizing can become an end to itself. Reason is limited in that it does not afford the capacity for the discernment of essence or of the critical point of a complex issue.
Okay, pause right there for a second.
Difference.
To answer your question,
Yes.
why we get caught in reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So now that's why we get caught in reasoning, because we intellectualize, and now we intellectualize. Now it's a dogma. Now we defending it. This right is wrong, because we're stuck in the reason. That's why only 4% of people can get to love.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yeah, because at this point you're not even following the spirit. You're just it's stuck in your
Your
own.
ego got you. Like you're
Yeah.
so ego driven. It's ridiculous. You think
Right.
you, and the ego trick you think you're being spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
I've been over. You're not being spiritual, bro. You're being so
All
egotistical. You
right.
just, it's a lot.
yeah. It's like what she said. With with the reason, it's really what gets so stuck on. It's like this box that we put
Mm-hmm.
ourselves in
Mm-hmm.
with these man-made rules,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and in itself that we're not able to, get outside the box to see, hey, um, there's something beyond this. We have to see the bigger picture.
Facts. Facts. Who just got to read? Lesson. Okay. So now let's go into love, which is only 4% of people actually get that, which is love.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Ready.
Energy level 500 love. Love as depicted in the mass media is not what this level implies. On the contrary, what the world generally refers to as love is an intense, emotionally combined,
Intense.
intense emotionality combining physical attraction,
Hmm.
possessiveness, control, addiction, eroticism, and novelty. It is usually advancent and fluctuating, waxing and waning with varying conditions.
Pause right there.
Mhm.
Can you read that again, please? Oh my goodness. That's a home run the first couple of paragraphs. From the beginning, please.
It is usually advancing and fluctuating, waxing and waning with varying conditions. When frustrated, this emotion often reveals an underlying anger
Mm.
and dependency that it had masked. The love can turn to hate in a common concept, but what is being spoken about rather than love is an addictive sentimentality and attachment. Hate stems from pride, not love. There probably never was actually love in such a relationship.
Okay, pause for a second right there. How many times have we been in a situation somewhere where we get right to anger?
Hmm.
That's not love.
No.
That's a infatuation. That's a possession.
Hmm.
That's not what the true love is. You
Hmm.
feel me?
Hmm.
That's something totally different. But we put in the costume of love. Now
Hmm.
that's how we so throw it off.
Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
Continue.
The 500 level is characterized by the development of a love that is unconditional,
Mm-hmm.
unchanging,
Mm-hmm.
and permanent.
Rewind. Oh, over, please. Please.
The 500 level is characterized by the development of a love that is unconditional,
Mm-hmm.
unchanging,
Mm-hmm.
and permanent.
Whoa, keep going.
It does not fluctuate because its source within the person who loves is not dependent on external conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Loving is a state of being. It is a way of relating to the world that is forgiving, nurturing, and supportive,
Hold it there for a
like
second.
Mother Nature. Mm.
Love is a state of being. They
Being,
don't say doing.
being.
Being.
Mm.
Love is a verb. It's being. It's not
Mm.
doing nothing.
Mm.
That just said love is a state of being. It's a world related to a world that is forgiving, nurturing, and supportive.
Despite what that
Yes,
person is doing.
despite. That's why I don't think what it is. That's true love. Unwaning, unfluctuating. It is what it is. Not no matter what they do, it's not gonna change. So just by hearing that information, how many people you think are in a truly loving relationship that's unconditional? I never been in one because I had conditions. I know I had. Yeah, I'm just learning how to be unconditional within myself.
Myself, yeah.
So now I'm learning how to be unconditional within myself. Now I can allow you to be who you are.
Yeah.
So I'm not loving you. I'm allowing you because love
Hmm.
is a way of being. So by me allowing, I am being love by
Right.
allowing you. I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to dictate, but I'm allowing you. That's why I tell people, man, fuck love. The love is so bastardized. It's like a master slave relationship. But allowing is something totally different. Just because you love me, don't mean you're gonna allow me. But by you allowing me, you are being loved by allowing me to be exactly what I am. That's something totally different.
I like that. It's like years ago, I was listening to something this guy do poetry,
Mm-hmm.
and he says love should be how you love a flower,
Mm-hmm.
just for its being,
Mm-hmm.
right? You just love the flower for
Mm-hmm.
whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, and he just said that's how we should love one another. Just who you are in and out
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in itself.
Facts. So what time is it right now? It is 8:21. Okay. We do the last one right now, which I love talking about, which is Joy. Joy. Oh, Les, your turn. Can you read Joy, please?
No problem. As love becomes more and more unconditional, it begins to be experienced as an inner joy.
Can you start over, please?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
As love becomes more and more unconditional, it begins to be experienced as an inner joy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the sudden joy of a pleasurable turn of events. It is a constant accomplishment. How do you pronounce that?
Oh,
Accompaniment.
a companion.
A
A,
companion man.
a companionment to all activities. Joy arises from within
Mm.
each moment of existence.
Oh man, read that again. Joy arises from within each moment
Of
of
existence,
existence. Mm-hmm.
Can you picture that?
rather than from any external source.
Mm-hmm.
540 is also the level of healing and of spirituality and spiritually based self-help groups.
Stop right there. 540 is also the level of healing and spiritual based help groups. Hey y'all, guess what we in? We in 540, y'all.
Self-help.
Self help. What is this right here? A self help group resonates at 540. So y'all online, okay? Let me pause for a second at 540. We got Paul saying the truth. Thank you for clarifying that. Lion or Shay, she gave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, which is 600. I thank you for that not being 100. So we get major feedback. So people saying they're thankful for this enlightenment, which is super cool. So finish reading less from Joy, please.
From level 540 and up is the domain of saints,
Mm.
spiritual healers,
Mm-hmm.
and advanced spiritual students.
Mm-hmm.
Characteristic of this energy field is the capacity for enormous patience
Mm-hmm.
and the persistence of a positive attitude in the face of prolonged adversity.
Mm-hmm.
The hallmark of this state is compassion. People who have attained this level have a notable effect on others.
Mm-hmm.
They are capable of a prolonged, open visual gaze, which induces a state of love and peace.
Pause for a second. To maintain a long visual gaze, show how wounded or unwounded you are. 'Cause you look in the eyes, that's the eyes of the soul and spirit. You ever talk to somebody who can look at you for a long gaze period of time?
Yeah,
That can,
I'm that
that can show you what level they're on. Like by not maintaining a gaze, showing you actually what level you're on. Can you have a gaze? Can you gaze? Oh, not too long. Okay, no problem.
Oh, you mean within?
I'm just asking that. Just being mindful of how often do we gaze in people? Like when we looking.
And that's a different level of compassion.
Yes, yes. So the more we become more unconditional, the longer we can have a prolonged gaze. What's up, Lance? I heard you
I was
want to
gonna
say.
say, sometimes even looking at somebody can be formed as a threat, or they feel it as a self.
True.
What's that word? Like a self threat, really. Like, are you trying to
You
come?
sizing me or
Yeah,
something?
exactly,
Yeah, you
like
sizing
that.
me. It's
You
by
know,
look.
why you looking at me like that?
Mhm.
Or vulnerability.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Or intimacy.
That too.
Yeah.
Right. Many times it's always a guy thing. I don't know
Mhm.
what's wrong with that. Sometimes I walk somewhere and I'll see a guy and I look in his eyes and he's looking at me like, what you about to do? And I'll nod my head. Oh, what's up, man? What's good?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it
yeah.
just switched within those few seconds.
Mhm.
Because many times we have our guard up so much that we go out into this world like, what's up? What's up? What's good? What you trying to get into?
Mhm.
Right? But to say, no, I'm not confrontational. You don't have to worry about
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
that nod, it
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
breaks the whole ice.
Yes, facts. When you just said that, it reminded me of a meeting I had last night. Us as melanated men and women, we have never healed from the abandonment of slavery, the grief of being slave. We've never dealt with that on any level. So anytime another man see you, we can think subconsciously, are you trying to kidnap me? Are you trying to what are you trying to do to me based on the system of things over here that they pit us against each other, going back to Willie Lynch, where they defragment the mind, and I want to pit another man against me. So now how could I see you as a God if I see you as my enemy? Based on a system of things. So now once we get that grief and that reasoning, I can see you at the essence of yourself. So saying, look at people like, what's up, God? Like, you call me a God? Like, yeah, what's up? I can see the energy shift by the vibration that I give, understanding the condition of them mentally. So us, as more enlightened people, we have a big responsibility to speak, to release that God, to show them that we don't mean no threat. They get rid of that old mentality of you mean some harm. Because when they're survival mode, so now I'm gonna get you before you get me.
Right,
What are you gonna do? I'm gonna watch. Based on once again social media, that fear, everything that's been going on. If you're not taking back, if you're not willing to release the resistance within yourself, you can walk around like that. I used to be the same as that way. I'm gonna get you before you get me, but that's also a male thing. Someone do something to you, like I know your background, you raised Haitian, but American, we talk. If someone do something to you, pick some up and bust their ass in the head. We talk that.
Right.
So now y'all culture is most differently, but over here as a melanated man, we're taught to attack before we get attacked. That comes way back to pre-slavery, but when we're snatched from our motherland and we were grieving our diets being changed, the conditions being changed, and what we're being treated within ourselves. So I can see how that can perpetuate and steadily push forward. So that's why we have this self-help group that's going to be above 540 and come together to get rid of those illusions in our mind. Make sense?
It makes sense.
Any closing words before we get out of here? In any recap, anything that hit you, that any epiphany.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the whole reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
as I said before, reasoning it keeps you in this box,
Mm-hmm.
and this man-made things that we get so stuck on,
Yes.
but we can't. We fail to realize and come to a place of alignment to say, hey, love is not man-made.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a universal creation. It's a spiritual creation,
Right.
right? It's something that we just automatically have that we can come into
Mm-hmm.
and to just experience it and giving it to someone and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. 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 And I wrote a note in my book here, recontextualization. Recontextualization was very important to me because now I consider it in a new or different context. When I recontextualize something, now I can recontextualize how you're looking at me from a different context. I don't take it as a threat in a way, but he's looking at me to identify what reflection you see in me within yourself. So now recontextualizing and perspective on why you're looking at me. I'm not being defensive, like, what's up, brother? Like, how can I help you? Like what's going on with it? I don't feel like you're trying to attack me. Why do I feel that way? Because I'm releasing that old belief system that they gave us, knowing that the essence of you don't mean me no harm like that. I'm looking at the essence of what you are. not what you are, but the essence of who you are, which is the spiritual being having an earthly experience. But your situation might make you feel some type of way. So why would I attack that if I'm more conscious? You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, like when you say it, bring it back to when I was in school. You have a student um, who who will go to one class with one teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always a battle.
Mm-hmm.
But then we'll go to another class with a different teacher, and the teacher has no problem with the student,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
I feel as if the teacher is prepared for war with that child, with that student,
Mm-hmm.
when he or she comes to the class.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll look at the other teacher like, how do you get him to be so,
Mm-hmm.
relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
happy?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because the teacher doesn't look and judge and point down, looks down at that student.
Mm-hmm.
Is not prepared to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Is open arms to bringing in and embracing who that person is, who that child is, who that student is, who or she is as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. Sometimes um, that's where I've been thinking, or I've thought before in the past, where it goes back to what's that word, neutral,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where
Neutralization. Mm-hmm.
where um, you've gone through something or a hardship in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and then you move yourself away from whatever it was, whatever environment,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're going back
Mm-hmm.
to sort of um, save the others or help
Mm-hmm.
them out who's still in that position. And you now know how to interact with these people because you are now one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come at you the same way you came at somebody else who tried to come at you like that, you're not reacting to it the same to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know where they are in a state of mind at that
Mm-hmm.
point. Because they're not at your level yet. So yeah.
And so going back to that teacher situation with the kids, a teacher is still a person. And most times something in that child resides in that teacher. So it activates something within that. The child does nothing but show up. But that wounded child within that teacher is intimidated by that student right there. So it triggers them. But they're not doing no shadow work. They don't understand what's going on. So now I'm automatically affecting something on that student that actually dealing with me myself. So it had nothing to do with the student. It's them within themselves and that child frequency vibrate with something that either happened to them or in their atmosphere. So now the teacher has a perspective on their mind. They're not recontextualizing. They're actually attacking something. They're dealing with what's going on.
Yeah, it reminds me back when I was in fifth grade elementary. There was this hallway of 4 classrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 3 women teachers
Mm-hmm.
and 1 male teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And that 1 male teacher, Mr. Morris, I remember his name. I didn't have his class,
Mm-hmm.
but he was very strict
Mm-hmm.
and very stern. And whenever there was a bad student in the other classrooms, the teachers would, especially if a boy,
Right.
they would send that boy over to him
Mm-hmm.
to sort of put him in his place.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I would sort of see, this teacher interact with the child, what's wrong with you? Just very like manhandle,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in a child way though. And I would always find he was sort of a bit aggressive or too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Almost put fear in the child,
Right.
right? And almost corner him up.
Mm-hmm.
And years later, I ended up finding out that he got let go because I guess he got physical with one of the kids. And with you, what you just said here, how the teacher's also human, and when the student does something, it picks up a memory when that teacher, him or her, was younger or some point in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way how you explain it reminds that teacher right there of how he was so aggressive. Maybe his father was like that towards him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he feels he has to portray that, or at least become his father, which
Mm-hmm.
he probably wants to be to begin with.
Got you. Makes plenty of sense.
Right.
Y'all, you want to say anything before we get out of here? I see you are taking notes over there. What's going on? What you discovered?
No, it's just very interesting to me, like, to have this insight on, the emotions that we deal with every single day,
Mm.
and to look at it from not an emotional standpoint, but from facts. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm just learning, and yeah, I'm ready to transform even some more.
So you gonna keep it 100?
Yes,
You gonna keep it 100?
600.
Yes. Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, man. So each and every Thursday, man, from 7 to 8:30, join us here. We got someone called the Truth. Somebody put 105 times, so that's 500. Thank you for clarifying. So,
Mhm.
yes, get your book, Power versus Force. Do some reading and some notes. And without that, when the last thing being said, man, love yourself unconditional and release the internal turmoil. Until next Thursday, love yourself unconditional. Namaste, thug. Peace.
Peace.
That's what's up.